So welcome everyone. Congratulations to people who got the gifted memberships. I will gift some more memberships in next live stream as well. So as you're probably aware, YouTube gives 10 gifted memberships each month. I can give out 5 of those in each live stream. So congratulations to anyone who got those. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to jump into chat before I started and greet everyone like I normally like to do. A few different things that I was working on flat out beforehand to try and be organised. So I kind of was a little bit late getting organised, getting ready, doing a bit of screen recording last night in bed, and then had to edit it all this morning and get it up ready to go. Hopefully I've got everything loaded here in front of me. It looks like I've got like a million things here, and I probably have. So I've shared Neil the Seal with people before. He's one of Australia's local media celebrities, one of probably Australia's biggest rising influencer, in my opinion. He's an elephant seal from an area in Tasmania. He's about 5 years old. He weighs a ton, literally. And he returns to the same spot every year. I will be, when I get organised after this live stream and I add actually the stuff to the description section for this video, I'll be adding a link for a change.org, and I will show you that in just a moment, but I will start with a quick video about Neil, bit of an update on Neil, and then I'll share the change.org with people.
Cute, cuddly, placid. He can look cute, cuddly, placid, but yeah, he is a large marine predator, and we certainly wouldn't be approaching things like polar bears, bison in other parts of the world. So we need to treat him as such. We've had people dropping off little food packages to Neil. He does not need it, he won't feed, and he won't even recognise it as food, to be honest. So we're certainly not encouraging that sort of behaviour. If he feels threatened, he may lash out. So really it's about that proximity and staying away. You know, we have had some pretty silly behaviour instances with people carrying their small babies up close to him and simply trying to get that shot for Instagram. So he may look placid, may not be a lot of movement for hours during the day, but he can move fast. As I said, he weighs 1,000 kilos, and if you're in the wrong place, there's a big risk. I and my colleagues, we've previously been pretty honest about the fact that there is a risk here of essentially loving Neil to death. So it's a real possibility. We've seen examples around the world where large, potentially dangerous animals have had to be euthanized if this risky behaviour by the public results in an unmanageable safety concern for the public. So I want to be really clear with that. That's not our preferred management approach, but we need to be honest and acknowledge the fact that that is where this could go if people don't give him the respect he needs. So we're asking the public to follow some really simple guidelines. Stay at least 20 metres away. Do not touch, feed or approach Neil. Keep dogs on a leash and under control, and we ask dogs to keep at least 50 metres away.
Okay, so you probably realise where this is headed. Now, obviously, the big issue here is that people aren't respecting what they're being asked in terms of giving Neil his space. And there have been instances around the world of elephant seals becoming aggressive and injuring people, and obviously that's not something that they want with Neil. That said, there was a video that was being shared a week ago of people from like Parks and Wildlife who were using a board and a prodding stick to make him move out of the area where he was in, which to me seems like that's the biggest issue there. Like, I think most public are at least keeping away from him, but if you are going to keep prodding him and moving him on, to me that suggests the more likely reason for him becoming aggressive, in my opinion. Yeah, I just going on to that. Yeah, I know. I normally try to listen to a podcast. And if anyone's got any suggestions of good podcasts that aren't true crime related, let me know, because I'm always on the lookout for ones like that, because otherwise my brain doesn't switch off and I will spend hours and hours lying in bed researching cases that I'm looking at, or I might come across a new case and then spend hours researching that. Yep, I can imagine Yosemite people trying to get selfies with buffalo and elk and getting injured all the time. And that sounds like what people are starting to do now. They're trying to get selfies with Neil, which is not a good thing. Now, hopefully, Parks and Wildlife are looking at management options, but in terms of Parks and Wildlife in Australia, Tasmanian ones are really not so brilliant. Oh, astronomy. Interesting. I'll have to try that. I mean, we're talking about... Hang on, I'll have to run that back. We're talking about a state that spent millions of dollars on 2 new ferries, but didn't actually build, or didn't even start building the ferry terminal before the ferries were completed. So the ferries ended up sitting in Scotland for ages and ages. And then I think they finally brought one of them to Australia, and I think it's just sitting in Geelong as like a decoration. We're also talking about a state that put in a new bridge, really, really expensive new bridge that's been on the cards for a really long time. And when they got near finishing, they realised that the last 2 spans didn't quite meet up. There was a gap, and they had to fix that. And now they're talking about there being cracks in the foundations of this brand new bridge. So this is not a state known for effective planning, for people in power being overly intelligent. Oh, I like that. Tourists who are a moron, and it sounds like there are plenty of them around. Have I tried listening to my favourite childhood books, Grimm's Fairy Tale? Yeah, actually, I did download a few books, and I should start doing that again, because that definitely helps. I read it as Grimm's anyway. Tourons. I like that. I definitely have to remember it. So, because obviously locals just don't trust the Tasmanian government, they don't trust Parks and Wildlife, they've started off a petition for Neil, just to make sure that they don't go with the easy option, because they're really good at not doing any forward planning and then reacting to a situation as opposed to planning ahead of time. So there's a petition they're basically saying implement a non-lethal management plan for Neil. So they basically want a management plan in place for Neil that's going to end up not resulting in them deciding to euthanize him. So, bit of a spiel here. Neil is a local resident born in Tassie. He has made the beaches, boat ramps, lawns, and his temporary home twice a year. Local residents know and respect how to give Neil his space, but unfortunately this local knowledge is often overlooked. The situation has been exacerbated by media outlets which frequently broadcast Neil's whereabouts, inadvertently increasing tourism and causing disruptions to his safe environment. And I've got to say, up until about 12 months ago, his whereabouts was one of the best kept secrets. I've been following Neil for a while. And they did, all the locals kept saying, don't say where you see Neil. And now he's become like this tourism thing. Everyone wants to see Neil. And the irony is that it's my understanding that it's a pretty quiet area where he goes back to. So if there weren't tourists going down looking for Neil, if there weren't people going to go and find him, there wouldn't be so much traffic and none of this would be such a huge concern. Recently, concerns have mounted over the safety and well-being of Neil, highlighting the urgent need for a non-lethal management framework. We call upon Tasmanian authorities to implement such a plan that focuses on Neil's protection and ensures his coexistence within human habitats. So it's basically just a petition asking people to asking the government to put something in place to protect the seal. History to make you sleepy channels. I've seen them and I've contemplated clicking on them. The frustration for me is there's a lot of things on YouTube that are really good for listening to when you're going to sleep, so long as they don't have ads in the middle, because you'll be listening to it and then there'll be some really noisy, obnoxious ad that comes up. Good morning, Michelle. Welcome in. So, I mean, I could get a YouTube subscription, but I think I mentioned this before. All the subscriptions just for keeping my channel up and going is well over 100 a month. I was saying before that my StreamYard was about $50 a month. I realised that's actually $50 US, so it's closer to $70 a month. And that's just StreamYard. That's before all my editing programs and stuff like that. So probably not a priority for me to get YouTube Premium. So I have to be able to find things to listen to overnight that don't have ads that are going to wake me up again. Okay, so I'm going to move on from Neil, and there's a new missing children's case, which I'm trying to wrap my head around. This is from South Carolina, a little girl called Javeahya Harris. So she's 4, and what we're being told is that, well, it's a bit vague, really. I think the latest bit of information I've found is that she was playing in the chook pen, possibly, and vanished from there. But I'll come to that because I've got, I might go, have I uploaded the right thing? I think I have. Hang on, let me see if this is, oh no, that's, I think she was playing in the chicken coop. Okay, I may not, hang on. Bear with me. It might be on the end of this. Okay, so there's a few news stories that I'll go through, and then if I haven't got the actual other information, then I'll hunt for that in a second. So this is a really new case. This is a few days old. What I can tell so far is that the mother was basically, I don't know if she was in labour or she was due to go have a baby, but kind of one of those chaotic situations in the house potentially. But I've also heard that she did like going and playing in the chicken coop. I know, if you're sitting there doing that frowning thing, trying to figure out what's going on, don't worry, so am I.
Means.
And I'm Jenny Montgomery. We do thank you for joining us. Coverage you can count on begins with the search for a missing 4-year-old girl continuing this afternoon in Aiken County. Deputies first started searching Tuesday night near Hillsborough Street and Ridgecrest Road for Javeahya Harris.
Yeah, she was last seen wearing pink Minnie Mouse pajamas, Crocs. She has pink braids. We need to find her. Javeahya Edmond live in Aiken County now with an update for us. Javeahya.
Yeah, Brad, this search has grown significantly since it started last night. And with so many agencies now involved, people who live here in the area say it's been difficult to watch. The Aiken County Sheriff's Office says Javeahya Harris may be nonverbal and autistic.
Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Sorry. That was
To this search.
Sorry, I meant to pause it and I pressed remove instead. I'm confused because there's another statement that's been released that says that she's quite a chatty little girl. So again, we're getting contradictory information, but at the same time, this is one of the early news stories, so maybe they got more information. Yeah, you do hear of children being locked in the chicken coops. There's also this thing of the father was off at the laundromat when she went missing, and he returned when he returned and law enforcement were there, which kind of is reminiscent of Lily and Jack. Like, the children were reported missing and Daniel's out searching, and then he turns up just after law enforcement have arrived. Although in this instance it seems like the father didn't know, but I've already got questions.
Morning, the FBI, SLED, South Carolina Highway Patrol, and other agencies were all on scene. 2 drones were also deployed to help the search. And then you probably can hear in my ear right now, there's a helicopter who has been pretty much flying around the area looking for the young child. Also, neighbors in the area say they wait for answers has been difficult.
Really frightening, and it's a sad situation because, like, I have my granddaughter.
Chooks really can be. So it sounds like they got drones and helicopters going pretty quickly, meaning they had FLIR technology in the area pretty quickly, which makes me question, well, yeah, that's kind of, I'm trying to be cautious at this point in time, but red flags. And the fact that they've had drones and helicopters up with FLIR technology and haven't found her, also concerning. Doing laundry is a red flag, definitely. Especially they're talking about the mother either being in labour or being due to have the baby. Like, she must have been really, really close. So why is he off doing laundry? Wouldn't that be the last thing that you'd be worrying about? This is the third doing laundry I've seen in recent history. It just concerns me. Chooks, chickens. Sorry, a chook is a chicken. We forget that not everyone speaks Aussie speak. Sorry, I find that amusing. I sometimes forget. I've been talking about, something to do within the Arvo, and people are like, "What is Arvo?" And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, afternoon." Um, yeah, we do say things a bit differently here sometimes.
She's frightened. She's ready to go home. We've been praying for the family. We pray that they find the baby safely. And I don't know. It's a scary situation.
The sheriff's office is asking the public to stay away from the search area for now and saying if they...
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Kumanjaya, little baby. Her mother had gone there to do laundry as well. And then, Lily and Jack, well, they were off doing laundry the day before. It's yeah, it's disturbing. It really is.
Volunteers, they will let the community know. Jenny, Brad, back to you.
Tonight, the FBI is now part of a search for a missing 4-year-old girl. According to the sheriff's office in Aiken County, Javeahya Harris was last seen around 8:15 last night. On social media, the FBI says authorities are canvassing the girl's neighborhood, collecting security video and searching with helicopters and drones. We will continue to bring you updates on this story as we learn more.
Search for 4-year-old Javeahya Harris is intensifying.
Now, that really was one heck of a red flag. I'd forgotten about Maddie and Stefan. This guy is such a sloth that when he's doing laundry, red flag, huge red flag. Oh, yes. Not fully aware of Scott Peterson and Lacey Peterson. It is definitely something I want to dig into. But yeah, Barry Morphew, again, doing laundry. Which, at least they found that empty dart. And Chris Watts, wow, yeah. Who was seen on social media, the little girl? I'm not really sure. Yes, the flatmate said, this is going back to Stefan Stearns, the flatmate said she'd never seen him doing laundry before. It was definitely out of character. It's always a red flag when someone is doing laundry, and I hadn't actually thought about the number of cases where this happens. Whoa.
The FBI, we're told, is now involved in that search out of Aiken County, which has now gone on for more than 15 hours.
Oh, and I had to look up SLED, the FBI SLED team, because I hadn't heard of them. I thought that was like a CARD team. So the CARD is the rapid response, child abduction rapid response team. Sounds like this is just a all-round FBI team that are connected with South Carolina. So they are essentially the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, but they're still FBI. So it means that they've got the lab access, they've got additional powers, and of course it also means like anything for over borders. I don't know, I haven't looked to see where Aiken County is, but if it's close to a border, then also that gives additional jurisdictional stuff by bringing in the FBI. Yes, it's always straight into the machine to get rid of evidence. I hope that they have treated it as a crime scene straight away. I hope that they have already seized that laundry to have a look. I mean, maybe we're all wrong, but just it does not feel right or as Chris McDonough would say, does not look right. DLR.
Go ahead and show you a picture of Javeahya here on your screen now. We're told that she was last seen around 8:30 last night. Aiken County deputies say that she was last seen near Hillsborough Street and Ridgecrest Road. We're also told that she was seen wearing pink Minnie Mouse pajamas and Crocs, and that she had pink braided hair at the time. Now,
hang on. They're saying she was last seen around 8:30. She was in her pajamas. But they're saying she was out in the chicken coop playing with the chickens. A 4-year-old at 8:30 at night when she should have been in bed. Like, and I'm confused also because most people, once your kids are in their jammies, you don't let them go outside because you don't want them getting their pajamas dirty and going to bed in dirty pajamas. Oh, kidney stones, Carla. Oh, I hope you're recovering now. It's never fun.
last night, authorities told us that Javeahya may be autistic, nonverbal, or unable to communicate. Now, we know that a lot of folks have been asking how can they help with the search, but we are told by authorities that right now they have all hands on deck. They do not need help with the search right now from the community, but they will let us know if that changes. We're going to go ahead and take you live out to that search happening right now. Your Gunter Schroeder is out there while those teams are continuing to look for little Javeahya. And Gunter, good afternoon to you. We do know that there was a briefing about an hour ago now. Can you tell us what you learned from that briefing so far?
Yeah, the big thing, of course, was that the FBI is now involved in this case, along with many other local and county patrol and fire departments involved in this search for 4-year-old Javeahya, who has been missing now for over 15 and a half hours here in Aiken County. We're here and where the mobile command centers have been set up.
Gosh, I hadn't even thought of that. It looks roost in the dark. I mean, I guess it's summer over there, so I don't know what time it gets dark in South Carolina at this time of year. But even if it wasn't dark yet at 8:30, they'd certainly be settling in for the night. No, you're welcome. It's always distractions are sometimes necessities, and 8 p.m. wouldn't be dark. Wouldn't they be? They'd still be settling in though. I mean, chooks are kind of creatures of habit, so I don't know. I've never had chooks myself. My grandmother had chooks, but okay, so they would go in once the sun starts setting, but before true dark. Right. Interesting. The more south, the earlier the sunset, I believe. If it didn't mean that I would kind of lose focus, I would actually look it up to see what time sunset is. That in Aiken County this time of year. But it does seem like a bit of a red flag to me. And that too, playing in a dirty old chicken coop in pajamas with chicken crap everywhere. That's a red flag. That is a red flag.
South Carolina State SLED, as well as the Aiken County Patrol and the Lexington County Patrol, all of them setting up here. And just a short time ago, we saw many of these trucks coming out of this parking lot.
Okay, so sunset was 8:41 p.m. They would have been roosting, wouldn't they, by then? 8:30. If sunset was 8:41, They would have been, okay, cool. So they would have been in and starting to roost by about 8:15. This doesn't look right at all. So you've got 8:39. So yeah, around 8:40. Doesn't look right at all. Yeah, Jack and Lily swing right by the chicken coop. And I'm guessing that on Gairloch Road, they probably didn't clean that chicken coop out as regularly as they should. Yeah, definitely. Unless, I mean, I'm looking at the aerial view. It doesn't look like it's really, really rural. So maybe the chickens had a permanent coop. But it doesn't feel right. It does not look right at all. Chooks really are creatures of habit. They certainly would have been roosting. So that's 2 red flags now. Well, actually, the pajamas out to the chook pen is more than 1 red flag, in my opinion, because nobody gets their kid into their pajamas ready for bed and then lets them out, especially not to go and fossick around in a gross chook pen. Oh, how cool, your PhD involved laying hens. That could be interesting.
Going back to search for Javeahya after having come in after a long search this morning. Now, according to some people in the Aiken County Department, they said the FBI is now involved, as well as SLED, Aiken Department of Public Safety, and the North Augusta Department of Public Safety, the Edgefield County Sheriff's Office, the Lexington County Sheriff's Office, South Carolina Highway Patrol, the South Carolina Probation, Pardon, and Parole, and Aiken County Emergency Management. Now, crews were sending out messages around 12:45 this morning to people in the Aiken County area to be on the lookout in the area of Hillsborough Street and Ridgecrest Road. Authorities say that that search area has now expanded, and in fact, off screen here, we are seeing the SLED helicopter up in the air again, which we did see in the early hours this morning. That's been used alongside anything you can think of. Drones have been used to search wooded areas, as well as some patrol officers going out on ATVs, many of them still searching off the beaten path for Javeahya. And as you mentioned, that search continues here throughout the afternoon. We'll provide.
I wonder if they've got dogs in as well. Oh, okay. So even if she'd gone out to give dinner scraps, the chickens wouldn't eat till the following morning. Although we're talking about a 4-year-old here, so hopefully they weren't giving her dinner at 8 o'clock at night or something. You would think that, dinner would have been several hours earlier as well. I'm confused over that because I don't think they've clarified it. The guy's been referred to, I'm not sure if they have referred to him as the father. Or that's a good question. We'll keep listening and see if we can figure that out, because he referred to her as his girlfriend. Oh, that makes sense. You would save the scraps till the morning because you don't want rodents and stuff in the chook pen overnight. Definitely a do not look right situation.
Dates as we have them, but now many organizations coming together to try and find Javeahya.
That's right. We have the FBI involved, SLED involved, several different law enforcement agencies out of Aiken County, all involved in the search for Javeahya Harris. And again, there are a lot of questions surrounding her disappearance, Gunter, but we don't want to inundate law enforcement because we don't want to distract from that main goal, the common goal, which is to find Javeahya Harris. Thank you again, Gunter, for that. And here's another look at Javeahya. If you see her, again, call 911 immediately. We just want to reiterate that the time she had on those pink Minnie Mouse pajamas, she had on Crocs, and she had pink braided hair at the time. So again, if you see her, please call 911.
Good afternoon. I'm Christy Calcagno. We are interrupting WLTX Plus to bring you the very latest on a missing girl over in Aiken County. 4-year-old Javeahya Harris, last seen on Tuesday night. The sheriff there in Aiken County about to give a briefing about the latest on this case. Let's take you to the county.
So this is the latest briefing. This is only a few hours old. Hopefully the audio isn't completely out of sync the whole way through, because it does my head in when lips don't match what's being said. There's a lot here that isn't being answered and is frustrating me. I think they are intentionally holding back information. But my question is why?
This investigation hits close to home. We know that this family is living a nightmare, and we are doing everything we can to bring Javeahya home. Talk a little bit about our initial call. At approximately 8:43 p.m. Tuesday night, 911 dispatch received a call about a 4-year-old missing girl in the area of Hillsborough Street and Ridgecrest Road here in Aiken County. Deputies quickly got a detailed description of Javeahya. The sheriff's office shared her picture with the public and the media. We immediately began searching for Javeahya. We'll go over a few of our investigative steps. So to give you an idea of the massive efforts going into this search, law enforcement set up a roadblock in our neighborhood immediately. We've continued them roadblocks non-stop. They're still going as we speak, and will go for a few more days. Because finding Javeahya is the most important thing, and we believe them roadblocks may help us do that by gaining some information and maybe talking to some potential witnesses that didn't know they were witnesses. The community has been very supportive, and they're sharing information with us. We've been talking with neighbors. We've completed a grid search of more than 3,000 acres on foot. We've been supported in that by helicopters, drones, and dogs. The FBI is on scene assisting with analytical data, and they have trained personnel on the ground who specializes in investigating missing children cases. There are close to 200 law enforcement officers and first responders within this area searching for Javeahya to bring her home, and we are not giving up. As of today, we have digital billboards that we put up seeking the public's assistance. Here's what we ask from the citizens of Aiken County. We want to thank you for the tips that you provided us, and we encourage you to continue calling us with those tips. A tip line number that you can call is 803-502-5200. Also, earlier today, we announced that we've set up a website for the public to provide surveillance video, and that's available on our Facebook page. We've gone to a lot of homes and businesses that have cameras, and we want to ensure you that we will capture any and every image that may be valuable to our investigation.
Okay, I'm going to pause there. First of all, they talk about a grid search in a massive, massive area. Way bigger than what you would search if you believed the child had wandered off. I think they are treating this as a criminal investigation. Because we know from Jack and Lily's case that there is that manual that is used in terms of working out how far a child's going to go and all that sort of thing that is used, you know, throughout the world. We use the same manual here in Australia. They use it in Canada. It was developed in the United States. So 3,000 acres, thanks. I meant to jot it down and I got sidetracked with trying to follow the rest of what he was saying, which is why I paused here, because I thought if I don't pause, then I'm going to miss a lot of key points. That's a large area. That is more than just searching for a child that they believe has wandered off. I think obviously the red flag would be when you get those drones up quickly and you get the helicopters up quickly and there's nothing on the FLIR technology. I mean, it's not to say that there couldn't have been an abduction. Oh my gosh, that sounded just like Malaya's wording. But if they're reporting that she was playing in the chook pen, then how does the child end up vanishing from a chook pen? Are they trying to say someone went into the yard where the chooks are and abducted her? Because they've not actually named up anything in relation to an abduction. There's no Amber Alert. Well, obviously there's no vehicle to be identified at this point in time. Wow. Your fear was injuring yourself in the shed and not being able to move. For an animal without teeth, they do damage, leave nothing but bone. Scary thought. We just have to look at what roosters are like. I don't like roosters at all. There really are a lot of missing children lately. Now that I'm actually listening to this properly, there are red flags that concern me. Definitely. Now he's asking for surveillance footage. He's talking about getting the going door to door around houses and businesses for surveillance. And he said, and we will get, what was it? He said something like, we will get surveillance. He's talking to someone specific. I think there's definitely more to this than what they are saying. I'm just going to run it back just a smidgen to hear what he said again about the we will get footage or something. Always a red flag when there's no trace.
We set up a website for the public to provide surveillance video, and that's available on our Facebook page. We've gone to a lot of homes and businesses that have cameras, and we want to ensure you that we will capture any and every image that may be valuable to our investigation.
We want to ensure you, another person using weird language, that we're going to capture any and every image. That is him putting out a warning. That is him saying to someone, we are onto you. That is not someone just talking about a child that's wandered off. Oh, I heard that one. I heard that one a few days ago. missing child, and they found him, he'd drowned. Yeah, Bonza, it does. I won't put that one up. I think when you're seeing, just going back to the, a lot of kids that are around 3 or 4 years old, if you're looking at it from a DV situation, this is when they're a bit more underfoot. This is when they're a little bit more independent. And when potentially they can do things that are going to upset volatile partners. I don't want to go too far down that track because we don't know enough. Yes, every contact leaves a trace. He's definitely talking more on the side of, we are finding evidence, we are looking for evidence of a crime, as opposed to, we are looking for evidence of a missing child. They're holding their cards close to their chest right now as to whether they think it is an outside individual. Welcome in, Summer Breeze. Good to see you here. They're definitely holding their cards close to their chest. So they're not saying if they suspect abduction or if they suspect something to do with the family situation, but I haven't looked beyond the family right now. Too many red flags already.
We know many of you want to help. Here's what you can do. First off, pray. Be vigilant. Search your own properties anywhere that you think a small child might hide. We're not asking for the public's help with our search as of yet. We have trained personnel and assets that know the procedures.
And that's the other thing. When they say we're not asking for the public's help with our search, again, that's essentially code for, we have people who are trained to come in and look for anything of evidentiary value. We are using professional, professional in air quotes, searchers. They're using experienced searchers who know the protocols in terms of evidence, know what to look for in terms of evidence. So anytime there's a case like this where they are straight out coming out and saying, we don't want the public to help search, that to me straight up says they're not looking for a living child. Yes, and he did say pray first as opposed to being vigilant. And the number of times I've heard law enforcement say, check your own properties. They did that with Summer Wells as well. And I believe that is a kind of a deflection thing, essentially saying, look, let's give you something to do. So we're going to tell people to check their own properties so they feel that they are being involved, and that keeps them out of the search. She is such a cutie.
To conduct logistical searches. You have Javeahya's picture. Share that picture far and wide. Also share our social media post. And again, finally, please pray for Javeahya. Pray for her family. Pray for each law enforcement officer that's out here in this heat, working tirelessly to find her. And pray for our entire community.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I hadn't even thought that. South Carolina in the middle of summer. It would be fecking hot. Yeah, this is a new case. This is South Carolina. A little 4-year-old girl called Javeahya Harris allegedly was out playing in the chicken pen, at 8:30 at night in her pajamas and vanished. Yeah, now, sure, understandable in confusion of the mother going into labour, the family member takes the other children and they don't know who has them. This is, the mother was the one that called 911, so she was still at the house. So it sounds like, if she went into labour, it must have been after the baby was reported missing, or if she was in labour, she hadn't left the house yet. But that wouldn't make sense either if the partner was off doing laundry. I'm confused. The other thing that confuses me is in the Facebook post that I'm looking at, that I looked at, which I'm not sure if I've got it here, is that they're saying that they didn't have phone reception or something, so the mother only called 911 as opposed to calling the partner. And I don't know if that is an excuse for him not appearing until like after 9 o'clock. So again, doesn't look right.
I'm going to take a few questions. Please keep in mind, we are not able to share every detail, and we may not have the answers to every question you have right now. Any questions?
Yeah, I know the search is in this area specifically. I know a lot of the search is right here. Wondering why that is, and if you think that she's still in this area.
Well, the reason it's here is because this is the area she left from. There's no other details to tell us that Javeahya went anywhere else other than here.
This morning you guys said parents apparently haven't cooperated, but are there any details pointing whether this is a custody-related situation involving the parents, or did she just wander away on her own?
Well, right now the information we have is that she wandered away on her own.
How has the Aiken community the past?
Good question. How far is the laundromat from home? Because usually they're not that far from home. I mean, it depends how long the laundry takes, but it's still a red flag. If this woman was so close to having her baby that he's out there doing laundry, and it is a heck of a coincidence that he just happens to be doing laundry while she's reporting her child missing. Huge red flag.
Well, as you can see, a couple of these guys are pouring sweat. It's hot. We're keeping them hydrated. But our primary focus is bringing Javeahya home. It don't matter how hot it is. We're here till we do that.
Sheriff, you just said you covered over 2,000, 3,000 acres in your search. Are you asking the question now, if you search such a broad area and you have not found her, what is next in this case? Is there an ongoing investigation running secondary to the search?
Well, this is still a search effort. Obviously, we have FBI and SLED and some of our investigators following up on other questions and other leads, but we have nothing right now that takes us away from a search in this area.
He's being very careful with his wording there. It's like, obviously this is still a search effort. And note the punctuation with that. All he's basically saying at this point is that we haven't got any leads yet that are going to make us search further out. And then he talks about other agencies being involved. He's steering around that question. Yeah, I don't think they were searching for a living child, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. Seeing red flags with this case. I really hope it's not that way, but I mean, that said, if she wandered off, then with the heat, with the summer heat, then she wouldn't have lasted this long anyway. But that is a consideration too, in terms of them getting drones and helicopter and stuff up. It would take till a few hours after dark for the FLIR technology to be all that efficient, because just of the heat from the summer heat. Yeah, most women do have their bag packed ahead of time. I just, not only that, but doing laundry that time of night too. Like, I don't know, maybe he worked and maybe he had to do laundry of an evening, but red flags. Welcome in, what's up? We haven't got to Jack and Lily yet. We're looking at a new case which, in my opinion, is full of red flags.
Have you already gotten videos or photos from the public on that tip line?
Ask me again?
Have you already gotten any photos or videos through that tip line?
As far as the tip line goes, I don't know. I didn't check on that. We've got plenty of video and some tips though.
Why no amber in this situation?
There's requirements, specific requirements through SLED that you have to meet for an Amber Alert. You have to know they've been abducted. You have to have a suspect or a vehicle. We have none of that. This is a missing child case as of right now.
Sheriff, I have to ask you a quick question, just personally, as a part of this community, and I know so many of the people out here searching are parents, their uncles, their cousins of children. What is this like personally as you're out here looking for this 4-year-old? And she's tiny.
Most everybody out here searching has children. Some have grandchildren. And whether they do or they don't, our job is to protect the citizens of this county. Young, middle-aged, old.
Did he just contradict about the tip line? I'm not sure. Was it far or in terms of, he did say something about they've already got some footage and tips in. Let me run it back just a little bit.
Videos or photos from the public on that tip line?
Ask me again?
Have you already gotten any photos or videos through that tip line?
As far as the tip line goes, I don't know. I didn't check on that. We've got plenty of video and some tips though.
Why no amber in this situation?
There's requirements, specific requirements through SLED that you have to meet.
Is that what the contradiction is? Saying, oh yeah, saying I had no tips and then there were tips. He's holding back serious information, in my opinion. Oh yeah, that could be what he's talking about. Tips could be direct tips from neighbours, not necessarily onto the tip line. So yeah, it could be like in the Genesis Reed case, where, I mean, she didn't have a chance, Adrian Reed didn't have a chance of getting away with it, because all the neighbours were talking to law enforcement and saying, all these things are wrong, you know, we saw her burning evidence, we haven't seen the child in weeks. So it's quite likely that, yeah, they probably have had information from neighbours. It's interesting he's saying that they've already got some footage. I suspect that they know a lot more than what they're telling. it really does not look, something is not right with this case.
Amber Alert. You have to know they've been abducted. You have to have a suspect or a vehicle. We have none of that. This is a missing child case as of right now.
Sheriff, I have to ask you a quick question, just personally, as a part of this community, and I know so many of the people out here searching are parents, their uncles, their cousins of children. What is this like personally as you're out here looking for this 4-year-old? And she's tiny.
Most everybody out here searching has children. Some have grandchildren. And whether they do or they don't, our job is to protect the citizens of this county. Young, middle-aged, old, and we're not giving up till we have answers, until we bring Javeahya home. So, I'm asking for patience and understanding. Our priority, as I've already said, is to find Javeahya and bring her home to her family and to this community. As with other similar investigations, we cannot release every detail that we know. There's a lot of questions, a lot of rumors about Javeahya's disappearance. Please only share the information that the Sheriff's Department provide, because that's the most accurate and up-to-date information. Sharing misinformation could negatively affect our investigation. Don't be responsible for directing our focus away from where it needs to be, which is bringing Javeahya home.
That's also not what he's really saying, in my opinion. He's essentially asking for people to only share information that has been directly shared by law enforcement. Now, I would imagine that it could be another one of those situations of a community that has seen more than what we're being told, and potentially there's possibly things they don't want made public because they don't want suspects to know that they know that information. Yeah, we know more than we're telling you. Going back to Genesis, that woman should never have had custody of that baby. That poor little girl should have been living with, well, probably not the grandmother because she was in the same community, but the woman should not have had custody of that baby. And I fear that they're never going to find Genesis's remains. I do have an update for Genesis and Melody. I was going to record it yesterday, but I was just so exhausted yesterday that I just ended up taking the entire day off. So I will put out an update for Melody and Genesis later today. But, you know, this feels like we're sort of headed in the same direction with this case. I hope I'm wrong, but, you know, when they're saying we know more, that's not a missing child. That's not a child that's wandered off. They're not suggesting... Now, if they thought this was an abduction, they would be getting any bit of information out that they could. Even if they can't put an Amber Alert, they would be giving as much information as they could. The fact that they're holding back information says they haven't left the home in terms of what happened to this poor little baby. Melody Buzzard, she was a 10-year-old little girl who, October last year, her mother took her on a road trip from Lompoc, California. She drove all the way out to Nebraska and turned around. This was in a rental car. the last sighting of Melody was on the Utah border. And then Ashley Buzzard returned home to Lompoc without Melody. Her remains were found early December. Yeah. And her mother had basically shot her in the head and left her lying out in the desert. Heartbreaking case. And yeah, there's some updates on her case that I will go through, and I'll also talk about Genesis's case as well, because there's updates for both. Yeah. When they say they have stuff they can't tell the media, they've got a lot. Sounds like this investigation is already 7 times. I blocked that out. Just the thought of a mother even doing that to her child is enough. I forgot that it was 7 times. Mind-blowing. Poor baby. Yeah, similar to Quinton Simon. And they still haven't found him yet, have they? I don't think he's going to be found. I just think it is the ultimate betrayal from a parent for their child to end up in landfill. And the details with Genesis's case in terms of the treatment of the rubbish from when it went into the dumpster to by the time it was in the landfill. I don't know if they're ever going to find her. That's what it seems. And we need clarification on that. I mean, I guess being the second child, maybe some women go into labour really quickly and have the baby really quickly. I can remember my first job, my boss actually delivered a baby outside of the local police station because these poor people, the woman went into labour, they were headed to the hospital, they realised they weren't going to make it, they went to the local police station. It was after hours, it was closed, and my boss just happened to turn up and was basically on the phone to the ambulance service, and he delivered this baby. So I guess there's always that possibility that it was, second or third baby, and so it was quick. But surely it just does not look right. It really doesn't look right. Wow. 4th baby took 20 minutes start to finish. She arrived before the midwife. Yeah. Some babies can be very impatient. Wow. 3rd child was born at home. His dad delivered him. Was only in labour for an hour and had 6 strong contractions. And that's the thing. Sometimes, the second or third child can be very impatient. You are champions, that's for sure. So I kind of would like more information on the situation with the mother. I want to know why he was out doing laundry at that time. And was she already in labour? Was red flags, too many red flags here. Like I can try and give these possible scenarios, but when you put it all together, that's when it starts to become a little bit concerning. It's when it doesn't look right.
We all want to find Javeahya and bring her back to her family and our community. Thank you.
Y'all happen to have any follow-up questions, just shoot me an email and we'll get you squared away, all right? Thank y'all.
I'm just going to skip through the news reporter talking and see if I put the other stuff at the end, because she was just doing a recap.
Abducted.
Okay, no,
And stay
it's
safe
not.
out there.
Pull that from. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Yes, they have given details, and I'll yeah, giving birth in hospitals is a relatively new thing historically. So, no active cell phone service to call the dad, and she could only call 911. So, if your partner's really, really close to having a baby, and you just decide you want to go do laundry, is that not a huge red flag? I must have not, unless that's this. Let me have a look. Hang on. What have I got here? Okay, pause that and run back. Okay, so I was just having a look. Charlotte, you were at work. Your husband was at work doing night shift. Wow. Babies can be so inconvenient, can't they? Okay, so this information seems to be slightly inaccurate, because I think, didn't they say she was... The most recent information says she was reported at 8:43. So is the 8:15 maybe when they last saw her? So apparently she's 3 feet 6 inches tall and about 42 pounds, which for me, okay, and this one says pink beads in her braided hair and possibly Crocs. Oh, 2 tickets for jumping red lights and got home just as she was born. You can't blame him for jumping the red lights. Yes, laundry is one of the necessities of life. So true. It still seems still a bit of a red flag for me, because there's so many cases where they're always doing laundry when the disappearance happens. There's 2 slides of this. Okay. See, this one says officials described her as smart, talkative, and friendly. So is she non-verbal, or is she talkative and friendly? The information that's coming out is contradictory. Now, the stuff that I found, so this is from WRDW. This is one of the reporters. Not only that, they're not sure what colour the Crocs are. So possibly Crocs. And if it is possibly Crocs, we don't know what colour they are. Well, true, Karen, true. I mean, it could be possible that, they just held off with laundry as long as they could. When you've got a little 4-year-old, you can't stop doing laundry. And I certainly don't argue that. but it's always something that you've got to kind of consider when a child goes missing and the partner just happens to conveniently be out doing laundry. Okay, so this is the new information that I saw on this journalist page this morning. So Javeahya's mother gave birth the same night that she was reported missing. How many pairs of Crocs did she have? Well, that's what's confusing. You would think they would know. You would also think that they would know what was missing. But then, can we just acknowledge that with the Madeline Soto case, Maddie was missing. Jen Soto didn't notice that there was only one of Maddie's Crocs in the pile of shoes in her bedroom, even though I think they gave the description of Maddie wearing Crocs. But that's probably something that I will talk about another time. Well, that's the thing. That's what I want to know. Was she in labour when he went to do laundry? How long was she in labour for? Why is this guy out doing laundry and we hear that the mother gave birth the same night that the baby went missing? So this person spoke to the father by phone. He says he was coming home when he saw heavy activity near his house. Sounds just like Daniel. Sorry. Oh, okay. At first he said he thought his girlfriend, Javeahya's mother, was in labour because she was due to have a baby. Now, if his name is Harris, maybe he is her bio dad. Instead, he said she came up to him crying and told him Javeahya was missing. Now, sounds like she was full term. I'm still stuck on the laundry thing. If you're that close and you don't have phone reception, wouldn't you, like, do they not have family around that could have done laundry for them, or someone that could have been there with the mother? Maybe I'm just reading this all wrong. Okay, so Harris said Javeahya's mother did in fact give birth that same night, July 1st, as the search for their 4-year-old daughter was unfolding. He said the mother had no phone service at the time and could not call him directly, so she called 911 to report Javeahya missing. That's my question. I mean, he's coming back saying that he was worried that she must have been in labour because he saw all the police cars. You don't have a massive police cars turning up because your partner's in labour. So that's a red flag too. There's this whole things with this case is kind of not right. Okay, so again, we have a Malaya flashback. She's smart, respectful, friendly to everyone, and not the type of child to run away. Not the type of child would tell them not to go out in the yard alone. They're always supervised. Yeah, saying he thought she must have been in labour suggests that she wasn't in labour when he left. And I can understand that the stress of the situation could push her into going into labour. But why would you think, if there's a bunch of police cars outside your home, that means your partner's gone into labour? Because you would expect to see an ambulance, not police cars. Yeah, I'm trying to keep an open mind. That's the red flag for me. Why take the risk if you don't have phone reception? I don't know. There's definitely more to this story. Okay. So the report says her mother told deputies she last saw Javeahya around 8 p.m. in the chicken coop, playing with the chickens. She reported her as wearing a pink Disney shirt with matching shorts. Hang on. Well, that doesn't sound like pajamas now. Had pink beads in her hair and was wearing Crocs, though colour was unknown. So she reported her missing 40 minutes after last seeing her. There's definitely more to this story. They're not investigating this as a child wandering off. I'll tell you that now. It could be short pajamas, yeah. Oh, hang on. I lost that slide. Oh, damn. Hang on. Sorry. Nuts. Okay, let me just go through till I get back to that slide. Okay. So the mother called 911. Yeah, we're all trying to familiarise ourselves with this case right now. True. Maybe he went to do laundry because he needed to get out of the house. Maybe it's something as innocent as that. I just find it a bit confusing. Okay, so last seen 8 p.m. in the chicken coop, but reported it took her 45 minutes to report it. Wouldn't you kind of be thinking even like 20 minutes out in the chicken coop, you'd be starting to wonder where she was? Wouldn't you be wanting to get her into bed? So the father arrived home at 9 p.m. and told deputies he'd been at a laundromat washing clothes and had been gone for about an hour and a half. So he'd been gone about half an hour before the little girl was last seen, allegedly. Well, true. There's also that side of it. If, 9 months pregnant, probably didn't have a lot of extra clothes. That's definitely a possibility. When they're talking about protecting the integrity of the search and investigation, straight up, they're not thinking the little girls wandered away. They're telling us they've got more. They're telling us they have got camera footage or whatever, but they're not sharing it. They're not saying, well, we've got footage that shows her wandering down this street. I'm just thinking back to like Michael Vaughan, where they had someone said he'd gone and knocked on their door or something. Thank you, Summer Breeze, very much, very much appreciated. And I have seen your email. I will respond to it after my live stream. I've got a few emails and things to respond to. Kind of, again, didn't get up till quite late. Yeah. They're holding a lot to their chest. They're saying they've got camera footage, but they're not saying that they've seen the child heading in any direction. To me, that is definitely a red flag. Does not look right at all. I think that's the last slide that I have for that one. Yep. So I'll just remove that from stage for now. I will go through a little bit of Daniel's audio. I know I've spent more time than I intended on Javeahya's case, but I do think this is a significant case that is worth keeping an eye on. Exactly. No, there's no concern for the integrity of a case if a child goes missing and they don't suspect foul play. And if they're saying they've already got camera footage and they're not sharing that, that tells you exactly where they're headed with this case. And it's not something that is going to be a happy outcome, let's say. I wish we didn't keep hearing cases like this. But there's too many things that don't look right here. Yes, it appears that Melody was shot 7 times. They matched the spent rounds from the crime scene with a spent round at Ashley Buzzard's house, and they also had live rounds that matched. I still cannot understand how a mother could do that to their own child. And the fact that the charge is lying in wait, they've got that added as part of the charge. Does make it sound even more evil. Yeah, look, that's what's got me curious. Did they not have a support network around them so that the dad could go do laundry and someone could watch the 4-year-old? Or wouldn't you want to put the 4-year-old to bed maybe before someone goes off to do laundry? There's lots of information missing, definitely. Okay, I'm going to go through and play a little bit of Daniel audio. The bit about Dollarama, and we'll see how far we go with that. Kind of want to try and keep this under 2 hours, but we'll see.
This too. I'm so limited on sometimes on what they tell me. I asked for the CCTV footage from Dollarama to see exactly what the kids were wearing that day so I could get the whole outfits of both of them to see if they were still at the house here, to see if their clothes were switched that morning. And
this is what I struggle with Daniel's story, with this particular CCTV footage thing. He claims he wants to see the CCTV footage because he wants to know exactly what they were wearing that day. Now, if you heard that and you didn't know the situation of the case, straight away you would think he wasn't there that day. Straight away you would think that he was off somewhere, so he doesn't know what the children were wearing because he didn't see them. They were in the car with these children for 4 hours and in shops with these children for 4 hours. Even if Daniel didn't see them before 12 o'clock that day because he was doing some Daniel thing, he was with the entire family for 4 hours. So how can he not know what they were wearing? A lot of his stories where he's going back to this period of time before the children went missing are based on this. He's expecting people to forget that Malaya didn't leave until the Saturday afternoon. He's expecting people to believe that A, he has no memory of things that should be really clear in his head, but B, that he never discussed them with Malaya. I must remember to edit out that audio later as well where I didn't actually have any sound. So this is not the only time when he gives information that does not make sense. He also talks about he can't remember what he had to eat the evening before or something. These are questions that he would have been asked by investigators the same day, the same morning that the children were reported missing. So he can't be just really vague about it. Because for starters, if he's been asked all these questions the day after the children went missing, that means that A, it's something he's discussed. He's not going to forget it. But B, in these situations, the last interactions you had with these children are going to be like indelibly etched in your brain. Yeah. Malaya thinks they got the kids bagels at Horton's. Just like she thinks they may have gone outside to play. If they came inside to play, well, they were in before dark. Yeah, I think what you're saying, Bonza. I just cannot, with all these vague things that Daniel apparently never knew. But what someone said before in terms of the CCTV footage, he's not after it to see what the kids were wearing. He knows what the kids were wearing. Yeah, certainly vagueness from Malaya in terms of thinks they had bagels, thinks they went to bed maybe 9 o'clock, maybe they went to bed 10 o'clock. Doesn't really know. Can't remember much about her kids. I agree. When you have her saying she thinks they got bagels, to me that says basically they didn't think to get anything for the kids to eat while they were out. She realizes that makes her sound like a bad mother, so she has to turn around and say, I think we got them bagels. Because by saying think, that's like plausible deniability. So when they check the bank records and see that actually, no, it doesn't look like you bought anything like that at Tim Hortons, she can say, well, I must have had it confused with another day. Michelle, what do we think's happened with Lily and Jack or with Javeahya? I think most people now believe that something happened to Lily and Jack on the Thursday evening, not the Friday morning that they claimed they went missing. Most people are looking at the 3 individuals that were on the property. True. It could also be that she got them something really unhealthy, like donuts or something. Yeah, Lily and Jack. My personal belief, and this is only my opinion. This is based on following the case for 14 months, looking at statements, looking at documents, looking at the information we have. I definitely believe now that it was Thursday evening that something happened, because the narrative from Thursday afternoon onwards is really vague. Really vague. You've got the neighbours hearing the vehicle coming and going in the early hours of the morning on the Friday morning. You've got the contradictory stories over Friday, and Friday just doesn't seem real. So I suspect, based on everything we know, also based on comments by law enforcement, I think that potentially Daniel might have been doing rugs that evening, and I think he may have lost the plot. I think he may have gotten angry and something happened. Welcome in, Princess Pillow. Good to see you here. As to what happened, I'm really not sure. As to where it happened, I go back and forth between something happening in the house and something happening up at those little, that little fort up the hill in the woods. But I do kind of keep leaning back towards that fort area. I just hope that we do get answers. Let's hear the rest of this BS story from Daniel.
All the kids' clothes were here, right, until I packed them up and sent them with investigators because Malaya asked for them. But I was going to go through all their clothes and see if I could match the exact description.
A BS, Daniel. This is a ridiculous story. I was going to go through their clothes and see what was missing, because then that would be what they were wearing. You would know. It's ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. You were with the children for at least 4 hours the day before. Malaya's saying she put them to bed in their clothes. It's not rocket science. Not only that, if the room had been undisturbed from when the children went missing, Malaya left the very next day. I'm guessing nobody was doing laundry, meaning that if the clothes that they were wearing when they went to Dollarama and stuff, if they were wearing those clothes, you'd know they were still wearing those clothes, because they wouldn't be lying on the floor or in the laundry hamper or something. Yeah, it's just a flimsy excuse. He had the clothes there for ages. And, you know, day one, authorities would have been asking him and Malaya, what were the children wearing? Meaning, if he was uncertain, he would have given them whatever answer and then checked with Malaya. What were they wearing yesterday? Were they wearing this pink top, or you know, was what trousers was Jack wearing? Well, that's the other thing too. Lily supposedly popped into their room several times. Now, on one hand, he says she just popped her head in. Then, on the other hand, she came into the room. Now, even if she popped her head in, you would at least see what colour top it was. So you would be able to turn around and say, yes, she was wearing that Barbie top. I can't help thinking that that could well be the situation. We're talking about a family with financial stresses. We've got 4 kids who may not have been fed, 3 kids who may not have been fed while, you know, being dragged around for 4 hours, possibly getting tired and cranky. I could imagine stress levels were going up. I could also imagine, given that that's when Malaya got the plates for her vehicle, that would have been a cause for some sort of negativity from Daniel. Don't know what the spin would be, but you can guarantee that in terms of a coercive control kind of relationship, that her getting that vehicle would have been seen as a threat to his control, so that would have definitely led to some sort of reaction from him in terms of some sort of negative interaction between him and Malaya over her vehicle. And, you know, that makes sense because there's this odd comment in the documents where Daniel says something about Malaya texting him before they headed out, and she sent him a text, something about McDonald's toys. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was an argument over Malaya spending money on things that weren't necessary. It just, yeah, I could imagine there being an argument over money. Yeah, they still went to the vape store at the very least and bought something for Daniel, which obviously investigators will know. And, you know, Dollarama, if Malaya bought things in Dollarama that maybe Daniel thought were not necessary, or maybe there was something that Malaya wanted to buy and he didn't let her buy it. But I can see there's so many things about that trip into town that day that are triggers in that sort of relationship. Was Daniel on uppers? Quite likely. He admits to having been a bit of a math user in the past. But it sounds like he was on other things as well at different times. What were they driving before she got the plates for her car? So evasive. I believe that the vehicle that got put over at Earl's place is probably what they were driving, in my opinion. Maybe there was an argument over he expected to be the one driving her car. Yeah. Actually, when you think about that, that's interesting. Janie says, I don't know where they went. I don't know what they bought. When that's offered up, and no one did ask her that. No one would expect her to know that or answer that. So why did she need to offer it up? It's a really, really good point, Grover. Exactly. So here's the CCTV footage line. This is a classic. Yeah, now that is such a good point. And was it you that made it? Someone made a comment in. I did a quick YouTube short, or anyway, one of my recent videos or recent lives. Someone made a really valid point, and that is, if that pail was bought when they were at Dollarama, then, you know, if it was something that Jack did want to use for digging for bugs and worms and stuff, then it is quite likely that he went, well, okay, the best place for finding bugs and worms is up at the fort. I'm going to take my brand new pail up to the fort and go looking for bugs and worms because I have this new toy that I want to use. So yeah, maybe they did. Yeah, so that's the thing. According to Brad, the last trip wasn't a noisy vehicle. So I'm thinking, you know, this whole dead vehicle at Earl's, whichever way you look at it, it really does look like that vehicle was taken and left at Earl's place for some reason. Yeah, maybe she did buy the kids Happy Meals. Maybe that's what the argument was about. Dunno. But I do think that statement, him saying she messaged him about McDonald's toys, maybe she wanted to buy them Happy Meals and Daniel wouldn't allow it. Maybe they just got given some, whatever the cheapest thing was that they could grab at Tim Hortons or at Dollarama, if Dollarama have, you know, cheap, crappy snacks that you can give your kids. Maybe that was the start of an argument. Good point.
And they told me, Daniel, we can't give you the CCTV footage from Dollarama because you're considered a witness.
Do you
Really? He has some really dumb comments. Yes, the bucket should have had Jack's DNA on it. It's a shame that it was never collected for evidence. But I guess they might not have really had the full story at that point in time. I mean, it's taken us all this time to make the connection in terms of the worms, bugs and worms in the bucket and stuff like that. So, you know, if investigators hadn't been told that, well, he collects bugs and worms in a bucket, then they may not have seen the significance. It was, the person interviewing him was Charmaine. I'll put her banner back up. Where is it? Okay, so that's Charmaine's channel. He went and did a live stream with her on the 2nd of May, on the 1-year anniversary of the children going missing. Yeah, they were probably scamming Patty's credit card again. Yeah, he doesn't deny that he bulked his car and that this happened before the children went missing. but we don't exactly get any clarification of exactly how soon before the children went missing or where it got bogged or anything like that. It's just this weird story that's come out. I would like to know a bit more about that. I'm sorry you've had a terrible week, Princess Pillow. I hate when people have bad weeks. It's never a good thing. I hope things are looking up for you. But he really is so dumb. He does sound like a know-it-all 12-year-old. But honestly, Daniel, we can't give you CCTV footage from Dollarana because you're considered a witness. What? They would never say anything like that. He's trying to twist it around. I think they've actually told him he's a suspect. I suspect that maybe the reason that we had this sudden turnaround with Daniel's attitude towards law enforcement was, let's go hypothetical again. We have this situation back in October when they brought the canine dogs, the cadaver dogs, onto the property. And one of the handlers started giving him the hard questions. And he claims that he then went and reported it to investigators. And that the investigators allegedly said, "Oh, we're sorry about that, Daniel. We're sorry that he did that to you." Well, potentially, he could have turned around, he could have said that to them, and they could have turned around and said, "Yes, Daniel, because we are now looking at you as a suspect." He got hauled in for questioning about the blanket. They were doing DNA extraction with the blood sample thing, where it took 20 minutes to get 4 drops of blood out of his finger. So I think they have actually named it up at some point in time. Yeah. If they considered him a witness, they would get his statement. They're not going to hide the footage from him. Unless there is something incriminating that they don't want him to see. I mean, they would have been playing along with him. And we know from the way he's spoken early in the case that they were definitely playing along with him for quite some time, making him think he was best buddies with investigators. Yes. Ticking the box that says no criminal involvement, which does not exist on any of the documents that I can find. Summer Breeze, you and I both, my sleep patterns have been all over the place. For whoever recommended that I probably should start taking vitamin D given this time of year, I did buy myself some vitamin D tablets yesterday, so maybe that'll help me get back into a regular pattern. I think, right now we're past the shortest day, but we're definitely into the coldest part of the year. And we've had just weeks of rain. We've barely seen any sunshine in weeks. So, I think that's been catching up with me. So I can understand where you're coming from, Summer Breeze. Sorry, Daniel, he's a bad cop. Yes, I agree. I don't think they were going to give him a heads up on the charges. So they got him in for the DNA samples. Yeah, I will actually, Karen. That is a really, really good. Sorry, I'm writing a note because I would like to do that. Okay, I've written myself a note because I think that would actually be a really interesting thing to look at, to go through the past 14 months and see how things have changed with relation to how he talks about the RCMP, how, at the beginning you get this whole him, I'm best buddies with them, and now doing oh, they won't even talk to me, poor me. I think it would be interesting, that's for sure. You believe Janie did, apparently Janie claims that it was her who threw the children's toys away that were lying around on the property. She claims that she had said to Malaya, if you want them, you need to organise to get them or something. I'm just going from memory because I can't remember the exact things that were said. I'm not sure if it was in text messages or if it was in one of these interviews. But she claims that she had told Malaya to get the toys if she wanted them, and then they got thrown out on the side of the road. And I think she then said, they're on the side of the road, you can get them if you want them, or something like that. I mean, a lot of those plastic things that have been lying around in the sun for ages probably were getting a bit crappy. But I think the fact that it was done at the same time as the search, to me, makes it sound it sounds intentional. They knew that they would be driving past the property and just chucked all the toys out on the road. Like, hey, cop this, in my opinion. Yeah, why not send them to CPS? Or, I mean, Malaya had been having investigators collecting things from the property, so why suddenly just throw all these things out? Why not just say, these things need to be collected or something? But the flip side of that, him and Janie are claiming that they believe the children are still alive. Now, they've got several sheds on the property. Maybe the sheds were full again, but we know from when the children went missing that they were quite capable of emptying those sheds. So maybe they could have emptied one of those sheds again and stored all the children's toys in a shed out of the way. It just seems like a malicious act, in my opinion. Yeah. And why were they so concerned all of a sudden with throwing out the toys and clearing up the yard? And that was back in, I think, April. So like 11 months on, and suddenly they're concerned. But, they weren't concerned enough to maybe put all the toys somewhere safe for storage. I mean, you've got that kid's cubby house there on the property. Why not just stack them all up under there? It certainly does feel like it was done in spite, knowing that they would be driving past, and a case of, hey, cop this. Let's put all these toys out here on the road. Probably broke them in the process of dumping them in a pile on the road intentionally. Basically, to put it up Malaya. Maybe they got word that Malaya was out searching, and they did that just out of spite. Yeah. That's the other side of it. Like, you know, you're going past, here's the kid's stuff. I dare you to stop and collect it. Maybe it was a strategy for Daniel, thinking he could basically make Malaya stop to collect the things and he could then go down and talk to her. Bit of a stalking setup, essentially. Because that's definitely a possibility. I'm always amazed at the parents that can do that mental separation and throw their kids' toys away. Because there is that whole sentimental side of it. It just kind of fits with Daniel and Janie's attitude to the kids, though, doesn't it? Yes. I have no doubt that it was definitely directed at Malaya. There was a message in it. The question is, what was that message? Probably Malaya knows what the message was meant to be. Daniel probably knows what the message was meant to be. But it's not coincidental. Your son was 18 when he passed away and you have kept everything. I'm so sorry that you went through that, Michelle. And yeah, when you lose a child, you do keep everything. And I know that these kids were only his stepkids, as the media kept saying, which I hate giving him that title, but they were still part of his life for 2 years. Yeah, it's so common to weaponize things like that. That's horrible, not giving you the swing set and trampoline for the kids, because it does hurt the kids. It's so wrong. They could have given them to a thrift shop. They'd have to clean them up quite a bit first. I think when you look at the yard, I think a lot of the things that were out in the yard probably were a bit old looking, probably weren't suitable for going to a thrift shop. But there's that finality to it, for starters, saying we don't think the children are going to be found. Because even if you thought your relationship was over with the mother of the children, that she wouldn't be moving back with the children, wouldn't you think, well, if the children are found, they're going to want their toys? I refuse to give my ex any of the kids' baby photos. That's a fair call. Oh dear. I can't find a way of looking at this situation of throwing the toys out onto the side of the road. I can't find a way of making it sound like it was just an innocent act. Yeah, exactly, Bonza. That's the thing. Even if they were old and broken toys, the timing was poor taste. But they couldn't have all been old, broken toys. I mean, there was that cute little table with benches on the side of it. I mean, stuff like that is designed to be kept outside. Stuff like that is designed you know, it's fairly solid. It's not going to deteriorate all that rapidly. And when you consider the fact that even if that was bought for Daniel's kids, well, it doesn't sound like before Daniel and Malaya got together, it doesn't sound like Daniel had been living with Janie for quite some time before him and Malaya got together. Meaning that the stuff that's out there in the yard, the toys and stuff, was probably only out there since Daniel moved back in with Malaya. Meaning a lot of it would only have been out there for 2, maybe 3 years. So when you've got the heavy duty stuff like that little table, then it's still going to have years of life in it. I'd forgotten about that. Forget about the toys, they're gone. So callous. So callous. Exactly. You do the decent thing, you save the toys for the mum and the kids. A lot of those toys could not have been broken. Even if there were a handful of broken toys, then you'd maybe get rid of them. But wouldn't you have gotten rid of them in those early days when you were going around rebuilding the decks and painting the sheds and everything? I don't know. I don't know if there is, I don't even know if there's a picture of what was thrown away. I'd have to look back into that whole situation. I think I was focusing on something else at the time and didn't really dig into it too much other than to think, this doesn't sound right. But it sounded like Janie admitted to throwing out all their toys. Yeah, most of those toys would have still been good. Daniel and Malaya had been together for, I think, about 3 years. 2 or 3 years. They'd only been living on Janie's property for 2 years. So all the toys and things, because I can't see, in terms of Daniel's other children, I would imagine, I just can't see her being the sort of grandmother where the mother of Daniel's other children would have been happy just leaving them there to spend the day at Janie's place. So I think a lot of the things that Janie bought for the kids were probably only bought after Daniel moved in with Lily and Jack, because then his kids were coming there every other weekend. That's it. It's the timing of it. Now, that's the other point. We don't know if it's been exaggerated, because yes, Janie has admitted there were things thrown out. She has, I don't think she said how much was thrown out. And we do get basically, you know, selling two sides of the story. We're getting sold a lot of stuff from people who want us to believe one side of the story or the other. No, I don't believe Janie bought the stuff for Malaya's kids. I think stuff like the little table, we know she bought the little kitchen for Daniel's daughter. So again, that makes me think that it couldn't be all the toys that were being thrown out, because you would think people wouldn't be jumping up and down if it was stuff that she had bought for her grandchildren. So I'm thinking when you look at what's out in the yard, most of it looks like it's stuff that, a lot of it seems to be stuff that would have been bought for Janie's grandchildren, not for Lily and Jack. So my question is, what exactly was thrown out? I think I need to go back and try and find out this little bit of information, that's for sure. Anyway, I think that's a good place to end on with this. I did just want to have a, come in and look at that CCTV footage story before finishing. I did want to at least cover a bit of Lily and Jack. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Belinda would have driven past. No, she wouldn't have, because they didn't allow her to go on that search, which is so cruel. Good to see you, Jeannie. Sorry you didn't get a notification. I'm actually wrapping up now. Hopefully you will go back and watch the replay. Yeah, no, Belinda wouldn't have, unless there were photos. If there were photos of the toys, then she would have seen that. But Please Bring Me Home excluded her from the search, which is still a very sore point for me, especially given that she was the person who contacted them in the first place. Because, anyway, I won't go down that track because it made me unpopular from certain people when I brought that up in the first place. Yes. I mean, given Daniel's charges, it could just be that Janie's come to terms with her grandkids aren't going to be coming back to that property. And again, it could be an over-exaggeration of what was thrown out. That, I mean, yeah, it's a tricky situation because both sides are selling a narrative. Yes, I think Janie probably would have been selective about what was thrown out. Unless there is actually a photo showing what was thrown out, then we're basing this on accounts from people who are not proven to be reliable in terms of factual information. So that makes it tricky to know the full situation. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there because it's lunchtime for me. And just probably the dogs are about to want to go out and all that sort of stuff. So thanks for coming in, everyone. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button on your way out. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. If you're listening on replay, please leave a comment below. If you're listening to the live, feel free to come back and leave comments as well. I will have an update out really soon for Melody and Genesis, so keep an eye out for that. So on that note, thanks for coming in, and I'll catch you in the next one.